I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost.
Objection! Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you still insist on denying its existence. Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold!
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident?
Please, turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this?
Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew!
Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here.
Objection! What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You could see the marks here, where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?!
Order! Order! Who'd have thought the picture would have been drawn on the back of the list?
That was handed to Detective Goodman in the questioning room?
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor!
Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth?
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is something drawn on the back of my list. This is that thing.
That's that thing! That thing that was dancing in the evidence room!
Apparently, the head of criminal affairs used this for his blueprint. I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir. Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she saw the picture.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago.
Hold it! Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the detective team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows.
Hold it! So, at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue?
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor?
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed?
This picture shows exactly what I saw that instant.
Objection! I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
Take that! The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
In fact, you don't even have to look closely to see that.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. Objection! Huh? Where could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound in the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Ah! What's the meaning of this?
Objection! Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Objection! Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. But what does this mean?
Objection! The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. Objection! That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Objection! Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying is that this broken knife might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah!
Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being 2 broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Take that! The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah!
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon! Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding.
That's a broken knife!
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the picture was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award.
Order! Order! Order!
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and a broken knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. Objection! But that can't be! Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh!
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Hold it! Wait! I remember now! I remember everything!
Witness?
Mr. Edgeworth!
What is it?
Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back?
I knew it! This picture... I'm the one who drew it!
What? You drew that?
That's right! The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor.
First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger. This should be interesting.